welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie, and this is going to be a sort of throwback for my very first 5-star reads. As I said, this is a throwback for Thursday, and I had no clue what I was going to record today at all whatsoever, so I didn't know what I was going to record yesterday. Had no clue what video I was going to put out for Thursday today. And I went to Twitter, and an author friend of mine, Christy Pastore, decided to give me an idea, and she said, hey, why don't you tell us about your favorite 5 to 10 books that you loved when you were a kid? I promptly responded back with, I hated reading when I was a kid. Yes, this is true. I hated reading when I was a kid. Couldn't stand it. Skimmed books. Got it just enough so that I could pass my classes. And then that was it. Done. Right? There are those books that I do remember that I was supposed to read. Like The Grapes of Wrath. Or A Raisin in the Sun. The Great Gatsby. There's that J.D. Salinger book there that's really popular in schools. Yeah, I didn't read none of them. None of them. I skimmed the bad boys. If there was a movie that was allowed to be watched, I opted for the movie instead. Yep, The Scarlet Letter. All of those books. All of those books. All of those things that we call classics now, right? So I racked my brain all night long and was like, what kind of video can I put out for today? Sitting at my desk, I was like, let me play off of what Christy said. Let's do a throwback. And I went to my Goodreads, since I am at like 925 books read for my Goodreads career at this point. And I went to my favorites list, which is made up of 212 books that I consider favorites, and said, you know what, let's do the dates on those and see what are my first 5 books that I gave 5 stars to and revisit them. So this is a throwback, my first 5-star books that I rated and are my favorites. Are they still my favorites? I don't know. Let's go through this list. So the first book on the list probably should be no surprise, but it is the 50 Shades Trilogy. All 3 books. I absolutely love them, and yes, they still stand up for me as being a favorite read of mine, and I will still give them 5 stars. I love the books. I love the movies. I don't care what anyone says. I love the 50 Shades Trilogy by E.L. James. Period. Done. Yep. That's all to that one. The next book is Honor Student by Teresa Mummert, and I would be probably on the fence if I read this again. I don't know why exactly I thought this was an amazing book. I don't really remember the characters' names. I think maybe the male character was Will, but I'm not exactly sure. Not exactly sure why I thought this was a great book. And I think if I went back and reread it, I probably would give it less stars. I do know for a fact that this series, because it ended up being a series of books, isn't even done. So yeah, I know I would knock it off and be like, what the fuck? Stephanie, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? The next book on the list was Safe With Me, the complete series by Shiana, Richmond. And this is another book that I would be like, I do remember that it is 8 like serial books or something like that mashed into one, so it's like 800 pages long. And I do remember that this was like the first book that dealt with a hard past and drugs and lots of sex and things like that. So I kind of think that maybe it would still hold up. Maybe not being a favorite, but definitely would hold up, I think, in being the 5 stars because it definitely opened my eyes to new and different things in the book world. This book definitely put me on the path to finding some of the authors that I absolutely love. The next book is Avoiding Commitments, book number 1 by K.A. Linde, and yes, this book would still hold up. I just purchased it on audiobook and I hope to reread it by listening to it this summer. I just finally met K.A. Linde, and yes, so many yeses. Book were angsty and crazy and just pulled me every which way. Yes, I can't wait to reread this book. And then finally, the last book on the list is going to be Flat Out Love, book number 1 by Jessica Park. And this was a YA book, or is a YA book, and I think there was something about this story that made me love it the most. I believe it has to do with sort of a nanny going into a family that had some tragedies and stuff like that. I think that this one would probably hold up, but I'm kind of scared to reread it. I do know I have a couple of other books from Jessica Park that I want to get to. I remember that it has to do with like a Flat Stanley sort of thing that goes on too. So yeah, I might have to reread this one to see if it still stands up. But those are the 5 books that were my very first 5 stars on Goodreads. And that started in 2012. It's been 6 years. It's been a great ride. I've had so many great books that I've dug into and found, all because of these 5 books. So that's my video. Have you read any of those books? Let me know down in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.